We've been conditioned to fear healing. Think about how many times you've watched a commercial for medications and heard more time spent listing terrifying side effects than explaining how it helps. We live in a world where pharmaceutical solutions are normalized, even when they come with great risks. And yet, when a natural healing path is offered, we hesitate, we question, we brace for it to not work, and we wonder if we're doing the right thing. I see this every single day with the women who come to ōNLē. They're scared, they're exhausted. Most of them have already tried everything: doctors, elimination diets, steroid creams, medications, and nothing has worked. So when they find ōNLē, they carry both hope and fear. But the ones who experience the most life-altering transformations, they all have this one thing in common: they trust. Even if it doesn't make perfect sense yet, even if it means symptoms might get worse before they get better, even if it challenges everything you've ever been told, they go all in. And on the other side of that trust is healing. Today's episode is one of those stories. Sheridan is a first-time mom whose daughter wasn't gaining weight. Her skin was raw, weeping, and bleeding. Sheridan did everything. She went to every doctor, tried all the creams, diet changes, but nothing helped until she found this healing method. And just 10 days into rebalancing, she started getting her daughter back. This conversation is tender and real. It's filled with tears because it's not just about the eczema or the weight gain. It's about what happens when a mama refuses to give up. It's about what healing actually looks like, and it's about finding your child again after months of watching them slip away. It's also about regaining yourself in their healing process. If you've ever been told to wait it out, if you've ever questioned your intuition, if you're standing in the middle of fear and wondering what to do next, this episode is for you. Welcome to the Follow Your Gut podcast, the show for the woman who's ready to stop outsourcing her and her family's health and start leading it. I'm your host, Juniper. Every week, I'll teach you how to understand your body and your child's symptoms through the lens of the gut so you can take clear, confident steps towards real healing. This isn't about chasing symptoms or following trendy protocols. This is about foundational healing, where we get to the root of it all, your gut. I am so happy you're here. Let's dive in. Welcome to the podcast, Sheridan. It is such an honor to have you here, and it worked out so incredibly divine that you sent me a message the other day sharing your daughter's transformation and saying, can I please talk to you? Can I come on your podcast? I want to share our journey. And it just so happened I am on my work away. So this is something I do every month is I run away to a hotel for 2 nights to create all of my next month's content so that I can just be fully in mama mode for the next month. And I'm here. And so you just reached out to me a couple days ago, and I feel really lucky to be able to be here with you. Will you please introduce yourself and maybe even a little bit about you as a woman before you became a mom and before your experience with your daughter? And then we, of course, can't wait to hear your whole journey.
Yes, of course. And I just want to say, I am so honored and thankful for you. I told you in the message that I'm thankful that you are the one that we run to for healing, because doctors obviously don't listen and they just kind of shrug us off. But I just want to say thank you so much for being there for us. So my name's Sheridan. I'm a first-time mom. My daughter is now 10 months old, and before I became a mom, I wanted to, that was my biggest dream, is to just be a mom. That's all I wanted, to be a mom, and then a hairstylist, of course. But I already got that down. I'm already doing that. But all I wanted is to, have a healthy journey for both of us. And obviously, I feel like all moms want their babies to be, happy and healthy. And whenever I had her, everything was perfect. And then we moved to a new house whenever she turned 4 weeks old. And that's whenever it all started. She became very constipated. She did not poop for 5 weeks straight. 5 weeks. And she was breastfed. And so that is definitely not normal.
Wow.
Yeah, 5 weeks. And it would not come out unless I gave her a liquid suppository, which obviously we're not supposed to give to a baby that young. But with her not
So
pooping,
in
I
that
was so
time,
scared.
did you take her to the pediatrician?
Yes.
And
And
was that is that what they guided you to do?
yes, they said to just give her a liquid glycerin suppository every few days. Um, and I was doing that and nothing changed. It would not come out unless I was helping her. And it was like, it wasn't solid at all. Like it was still liquid, but she couldn't get it out unless I was helping her, which is, it's so not normal. So that's whenever it all started. She was 4 weeks old. And then that's whenever we moved to that new house, like I said. And then she also had reflux, colic, and she was super fussy all the time and just crying, flailing around, throwing her body back. And I had no idea why. Obviously, I'm a first time mom. And so I'm like clueless. I'm like, what am I doing wrong?
Well, and I just want to pause you right there because this is, first of all, it's really devastating because you did go to the pediatrician. That's where we all know to go, right? When
Yeah.
things are going wrong, you go to the doctor. And
Yeah.
I think I already know the answer to this, but I just want to ask, like, did they ever like take all of these symptoms and say, gosh, there's something, there's like a root problem going on here. These are connected.
Nope. At that point, her eczema was not showing up yet. And so it was just the poop and then the colic and fussiness, which I feel like that's enough for them to be like, okay, something's not right. Maybe she's sensitive to something that you're eating. And it was passing through my milk, like dairy, eggs, like the top allergens. But they didn't even mention that. Like I would ask them, like, is it my milk? Do I need to stop eating something? And they'd be like, no, it's too early for us to tell. It's too early.
Well,
So I'm
and
like,
all of these symptoms are brushed off as, oh, it's just normal. This is just part of
mhm.
your baby adjusting to the world, or but had you had the guidance at that point in time, right? Like had they embraced you and said, Sheridan, let's look into this. There's something at the root of this causing this.
Mhm.
Think how much heartache for you and struggle for your daughter would have been completely avoided.
Yeah, I felt so lost. Like her pediatrician is my pediatrician whenever I was little. And
Wow.
so yeah. And he's amazing. Like I was so excited that he was still in practice and everything. He's not super old or anything, but I was so excited that he was willing to take her in because I felt safe with him and trusted him with everything because of, he took care of me. And it's like, what is happening? Like why can I not run to him whenever I need him? It's like, now I'm to the point where after all of this.
Because I've never experienced that. I've never had this long-term relationship with a doctor. And it's almost like that hits even deeper. But I do love that you bring this up because I said this in another recent podcast that I truly believe that all healthcare professionals are in their line of business because they really do care and they really do want to help. And it's not their fault. It's the training or the lack of training that they're receiving. And so he has the best of intentions. And
Yes.
and so I always just want to acknowledge that here, that this conversation really isn't to bash any individual. It's really a systematic problem.
Yes, absolutely. Like I am not saying that he is not intelligent or anything like that. Like he's been through all the schooling. Like I have major respect for him, but I still honestly have a little bit of resentment because he didn't help me get to the root problem. But yes, like you said, like I do not ever want to bash doctors or anything. It's just in my experience, I can't trust like I want to. So
Well, absolutely. And for you, that's like a level of trust that goes really deep. And so there's, I mean, I remember going through this with my son and just being like, what the hell? Like, why isn't anybody listening? Or like,
yes,
why am I the one coming and saying, could this be connected? Why aren't they saying, is
yes,
anything else going on? How can we draw the whole picture here? And
yes,
I remember being, I mean, I think you say the word resentment. I probably hold a lot of that deep inside of myself as well.
yes. I say all the time to my fiance, his name's Bradley, but I say all the time to him, like, I try so hard not to be angry and have that resentment towards all of the healthcare professionals that weren't so helpful. But it's hard not to. Like, it's very hard not to be angry. But I know that God tells us to forgive and move on, and I have to. Like, I have to tell myself, like, she's getting better, she's healing. You found somebody that is helping, and you need to move on. And so I've gotten better.
Well, and I want to keep hearing your story, but with that, I think there's a really beautiful takeaway, and that you're exactly right, is that we go through these really hard times to expand as human beings, right? And this is for whatever reason. I mean, I've come to a lot of clarity of why my family went through this, is so that we would be forced to learn this healing method and be able to
Yes.
share it with the world.
Yes.
And I truly believe that every family that goes through this, there is a reason. And when you're in the thick of it, that can feel so dismissive and almost offensive. And I don't mean it that way. I just mean that at the end of it, we get to grow and learn so much as humans and moms, and really set our children up for a whole different future than had we not gone through this. And I mean, I just think of all of the things that I have learned that has changed and shaped me as a mother. And
Mm-hmm.
I know the same is true for you.
Yes, yes. I have learned so many things, mostly from you because of your podcast and the essentials to gut health course that comes with the purchase of the kit. I have learned so much from you, and also doing my own research and then going to a functional medicine doctor and everything like that. Like, I feel so wise because before I had
Yeah.
her, I didn't know anything. Like, I thought I had it all down, like I was ready, and no, like compared to what we've been through, like, and that's why I'm so thankful that we did go through this. I really am, because now I do know that there is another form of healing rather than being prescribed medication and then having all those other side effects and then getting more medication, that. But I will say that I am going to use this method of healing for everything. And I try to tell everybody about it because, I have a lot of friends that come to me. They're like, well, what do you think I could do for this problem? Or what do you think I could do for this problem? And I'm like, the gut cleanse, like every time. And
I
I've
know
had
it
like
just
two people,
is.
I've had two
Really?
people go to your website and get it from you. Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
So your daughter is experiencing this really lengthy constipation,
Yes.
and she has colic and reflux.
Yes. So that was whenever she was 4 weeks old. And then fast forward to November 20th. At this point, she is 4 months old. And that's when the eczema showed up. And it was all over her body. Like, I probably could show you pictures, but it would take me a minute to find them. But she had eczema all over her face, her cheeks, you saw in those pictures, all over her body. And at that point, I'm like, I've never had eczema. My fiance's never had eczema. On his side, there is a little bit of history of eczema, but I'm like, what is this? Like, I don't know anything about it. And then I used Tubby Todd. I used coconut oil. I've used beef tallow, like all the natural things, and then all the things you could get from the store. Nothing was fixing it. So at that point, I'm like, what do I do? Like, I didn't know that like eczema comes internally. Like, I didn't know that that's where it came from at that point. And at this point, she was chunky and she was growing just fine. She was a normal, happy, chunky baby. Or I won't say happy. She was fussy all the time, but she was gaining weight. And um sorry, I get really emotional. But after that, like, she started to lose weight It was December 16th, so fast forward to 5 months old, and she started to lose weight. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, she's still breastfed. I'm feeding her more than enough. She eats fine. And the reflux, vomit, colic was still there. Sometimes she would like projectile vomit all over me. Didn't know why. And so at that point, I was doing like elimination diets to see like if it was dairy. Sorry if you can hear my dog.
It's okay.
Oh,
This recording is really great. It removes the background noise pretty good.
oh, okay, perfect. So at that point, I was doing like all these elimination diets, trying to see if that would help her with the reflux and stuff. And that made my supply like basically like completely disappear. And my mental health was not good at this point because I was trying to build up a stash for her in the freezer. And I had a good stash going, but at that point, like I was not producing enough to even make her a bottle. And so my mental health was very bad. I was exclusively pumping as well. And so I could see my output and see how much I was getting out. And it was devastating because that's all I wanted was to breastfeed her. And like before I had her, that's all I did was research breastfeeding, things that would help, my supply and everything. So I was devastated. Like it was very hard to stop, but for the sake of my mental health and for her, I had to stop. So I did. At this point, her eczema got even worse. Her neck was literally raw. Like whenever I would go to like wipe the milk that was getting in her neck was literally like a layer of skin was gone, and it was bloody and just icky and gooey. It did not look normal at all. And she would bleed all the time from scratching herself. I would wake up to her having blood all over her sheets in her crib, and her skin would weep all the time. Like it would be almost like liquid pus, like just coming out all the time. And nothing I used topically would help. And I took her to the pediatrician, I think 5 times over the span of a month. I was there all the time, and I lived super far away from him because we lived in like southern Oklahoma at that point, and he was all the way like in North OKC. And so I drove very far to see him, and I was there all the time. And every time they'd be like, it's just eczema. She'll grow out of it. She'll grow out of it every time. And so I didn't give up, and I kept going. And then fast forward to February 5th. At this point, she's 7 months old, and the eczema was at its all-time worst. It was all over her body. Her lymph nodes started to get really swollen, like at the base of her neck, behind her ears. And then there's one on the right side of her neck that were like just huge. Like I could see them poking out of her skin and feel them. And they would move around. Like they weren't stiff or anything. They would move around. And so the pediatricians were like, I'm not worried about it because they move. And I'm like, well, why are they swollen? Like there has to be a reason why they are enlarged. Like this is not normal. Like I've never seen this on a baby before. And then she also had cradle cap, which I know that that's another symptom of something internal that's not right. And I tried to use Tubby Todd on that as well, the like the cradle cap one for their head, and would not budge. It would not get anything off. And I took her to a different pediatrician at this time because I wasn't getting the answers that I needed from her original pediatrician. So I took her to a different one, and she said that she has a bacterial infection, and that's why I couldn't get rid of it. And I was like, so does she have eczema too? And she was like, yes, she has eczema, but a bacterial infection on top of that because of the open wounds from her scratching. And I was like, oh my gosh, like she's going to have to take an antibiotic. And so of course she did. And now that I know all about, the gut health stuff, like I regret that. But at the same time, it's like she needed it. She had a
That's
bacterial
all
infection.
you knew at that time. And so can I ask questions during this whole time?
Yeah.
Do you live close to your family, or what is your support system look like? And I'm just asking because I know from my personal experience and so many other mamas who have gone through this, it's incredibly lonely and isolating because
Yes.
everybody has really big opinions, but nobody knows why it's happening. And so you're like in this battle of like trying to fight for her, but how?
Yeah. Yes. So I actually have a very good support system. At this time, and like at this house that we were living at, we lived right next to my mother in law, which
Oh,
my mother in law is literally my best friend. She's, I love her so much. We're so close, and she is very helpful. Why am I getting emotional about her? I just love her so much, but she helped so much, and there oh my gosh, there was a time when I just like hit a breaking point, and Kelson, my daughter, she was scratching 24/7. Like nothing I was doing was working, and I was trying to get her ready for bed and do her skincare, and she was so uncomfortable and just flailing around, like screaming like nonstop. I couldn't not get her to stop screaming. A passy would not work. A bottle would not work. Nothing I did would make her stop crying. And she was like screaming like bloody murder. And so I'm like, there's something wrong. Like she's not comfortable. And I hit a breaking point and just, I felt like I was paralyzed. Like I literally fell to the ground. It was just done and didn't know what to do. Like I felt so helpless, and I was just crying on the ground, just paralyzed. I literally couldn't move. I reached up to grab my phone off the couch, and I called my mother-in-law. Her name's Heather, and I called her and was just wailing on the phone, just crying. Like I couldn't even talk. And she was like, I'm on my way. And so she owns a gym right down the street. So she came from the gym immediately and ran in the door, and she was like, what's happening, and she found me. I got up off the floor and was trying to help my daughter stop crying, but I couldn't get her to stop still. And she just took her from me, and she was like, I got her, go lay down or go for a drive, go get something to eat. And so I did, and in that moment I was like, I have to just walk away for a minute because I was just done. And so I went for a drive and listened to some elevation worship. I love listening to them, but they helped me get out of a dark place. But I was listening to them and just driving around for like an hour, and then got back to my mental sanity and went back home, and everything was fine. She got her to go to sleep, and it was just, I don't know, in that moment I was so thankful that I live right next door to her.
yeah, I'm so
Yeah.
grateful for her too.
Yeah.
That you have her.
Yeah, she's amazing. And then also my mom, she lives about 30 minutes away. And so yeah, she was helpful too. And then the hardest part was my fiance. He works on the road, so he'd be gone for 3 weeks at a time. And yeah, so he's 3 weeks on, 1 week off. And so essentially I was doing this all by myself. And I felt so bad for him too, because he was so helpless. Like he was just like, I just want to be home so bad to help you. And he felt so helpless. Yeah. But yes, I do have a very good support system. That was a long story. Sorry.
I'm grateful to hear that because there's many parts of it, but a really big one is as new moms, we blame ourselves, right? Like I must be doing something wrong. I must be doing something wrong. And to have a support system that you trust and you don't feel judged or that you can have that is amazing.
Yeah. And you're right. Like you said, it is very lonely because I'd be isolated in the house all the time by myself with her. Because whenever I go out in public, people would be like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with her skin? Or, oh my gosh, she has eczema. And then they'd be like, oh, you should try this, or you should try this topical thing. And I'm like, I've already tried it. It's not working. I've already tried it. And it was just so frustrating. And then they'd be like, oh, how old is she? And I'd be like, 7 months old. And they're like, oh, she's so tiny. She's so tiny. And that is so triggering to me because of my journey and like how like I'm like, I don't know why she's not gaining weight at this point. I mean, I know now why, but yeah,
Well,
that's why I stayed home, and it's very lonely.
and it's so hard to be in that paralyzed place as a mom of like, yeah, clearly I see that something's wrong. I don't know what to do. And so the whole world sees that something's wrong except the doctor that you're going to. And they're like, it's fine. This is just normal.
Yes, I know. And so, yeah. So, then we go back to when she had the bacterial infection. So back to that. She had the bacterial infection. She took the antibiotic and immediately her skin cleared up. Like, I haven't seen her skin that clear since she was 4 months old, whenever the eczema started. I was like, oh my gosh, what if it's a bacterial infection this whole time and she doesn't even have eczema? And that, I think her skin was clear for like 2 days. And then the eczema came back immediately. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I was so relieved. And then it just all came crashing down again. And then the weight loss at that point became worse. She started to refuse to eat. So she wasn't drinking the formula. She wasn't eating solids. I'd try to give her a bite of puree and she'd be like, and turn her head and get super frustrated and just like do this and just cry, flail around in her chair. Like, I'm like, babies eat all the time. Babies want to eat 24/7. What is going on? So weight loss was really bad. And then she would like gaze into space, like not make eye contact with me. Like I'd be like in her face, like Kelson, like trying to get her attention. And she would just be like zoned off into space, just looking past me, almost like through me and just like just super out of it. And I would literally like hold her in front of me and like wiggle her a little bit and be like, Kelson, like saying her name very loud right in front of her face. And she was looking through me.
Well, what you're describing right now, I share this in a post. I was losing my son. Yes. I was going to lose him. And there's so many ways that I would describe losing him, like to long-term disease, autoimmune disease, autism.
Yes.
Eventually maybe cancer. I just intuitively knew I am losing him to something here. Yes. And it's really hard to put that into words, but you just described it so beautifully. It's like they're not there.
So scary. And I'm so sorry that you experienced that too. How old was your son when you started healing him?
Oh, we went through this for 2.5 years.
That's what I thought. Yeah. That's what I
we didn't find these answers until he was 2.5.
I cannot believe, like, when did the symptoms start?
It was like 3 weeks.
You're joking. Dude, you went through that long?
Oh my God. I mean, it is an absolute miracle that I'm still married.
Oh my gosh. Yes, it does. I mean,
it just, when as moms, we're so scared and our babies aren't sleeping, we're not sleeping. And anytime that they're sleeping, we're desperately trying to find answers. And my husband was the same way. He would travel he was a traveling salesman at the time. He would be gone for 8 days and then home for 5. And so I was on my own. We live in Montana. And I just remember there were times where it was like -25 degrees and the ice is moving in on the locks. And I felt scary. Like I was just going to lose I did lose myself.
Yeah. Oh, I did too. I am not the same person I was before. Like, I've definitely lost myself in motherhood, and like not in a positive way, I would say. Like some, yes, but mostly I've lost myself in her health issues, I would say. Like you said, like whenever she's asleep, I'm up at 3 a.m. researching things and getting things together to try the next day for, to make her better. But I just like, I'm so glad that we relate and we basically went through the same exact thing.
Well, what's really, when I started ōNLē, I didn't think I was making a business like that. I remember I was like a year in and a friend was like, what is it like to have a business and homeschool your kids? And I was like, oh, I guess that's what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
Because I didn't start this to be a business owner, right? It's just once I saw the change in my child, and up to this point, I really thought like, there can't be that many people experiencing this, but whoever needs this, I want to share it with them. And I have been I don't even have words. I cannot even now comprehend the number of families who are going through this, and all of our stories are so parallel.
Yes. I've had a lot of people message me and say, oh, my daughter has eczema too, or my son has eczema too. So many people. And then in public, whenever I meet strangers and they see Kelson, they're like, oh my gosh, she's so cute, blah, blah, blah. And then they bring up her skin every time. Does she have eczema? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, oh, my nephew had eczema. Like, it's everybody. And I know that vaccines, I'm not saying that you should vaccinate or not vaccinate. I'm not going to, speak on that term, but I know vaccines, that's a major side effect of them. That's not relevant to our situation because she's not. But I know
it's just one of the many exposures that compromise our microbiome and then trigger this internal inflammation. And so, okay, let's keep going with Kelson's story.
And so at this point, she is still 7 months old. And then February 18th, we took her to Fusion MD. And it is a functional medicine doctor. I have heard many stories of her healing people. Like my father-in-law, he has a daughter named McKenna, and she had Lyme's disease, and she was in a wheelchair, could not walk, and she healed her. Now she can walk just fine. She is thriving. And so she healed her, and I'm like, I have to take Kelson there. I have to. So I did. And they usually have a very long waiting list to get in there because, everybody's trying to go there. And I told them about her issues, how she's losing weight. And I was crying on the phone. I'm very emotional whenever it comes to this stuff. But I called and was crying on the phone, just desperate. And they were like, come in tomorrow. And so that's God. Like that is God. And so I went in, I brought her in, and immediately they were like, you need to check your house for mold. And I was like, really? Like, you think that could be causing this issue, like with her gut? And she's still constipated at this point too. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, like that. Yeah, I guess I'll do that. And so Brad got underneath the house because we had a crawl space in there, and we rent. Thank goodness. I'm thankful that we do rent because of this. But he got underneath the house in the crawl space, and he found mold. And it was black mold. The wood was literally rotting away. And it was like underneath where the bathtub was, and the bathtub was leaking. And this house is newly remodeled. It's older. It's like from the 50s, but it's newly remodeled. And so in my head, I'm like, oh, there's no mold in there. Like, it's fine. It's healthy. It's safe. No, like there was mold all up in there. And so the landlord had a specialist come out and look at it. And he was like, it's dormant. It's not active mold. It's dormant. It's dead. And so I'm like, well, I thought I had an answer, but I guess not because it's dead. And no, I ran some mold tests on my own. I wanted to do an ōNLē test, but I know that they're very expensive. And at the time we were paying so much for her appointments that like we could not afford it. So I just got a cheap test off of Amazon with like 12 different Petri dishes. And so we put them in every single room of the house and left them out for only 1 hour in the open air. And the results that we got on those tests were insane. Like, it picked up black mold. It picked up like basically every mold type that you can think of. Like,
really?
Yeah. I don't know if you can see this picture through obviously the people listening to the podcast can't see it, but I don't know if you can see this picture.
I can put it on the episode page.
Yeah, it's not popping up, but you can see how much.
Oh, I can kind of see it now.
Yeah, that was in the bathroom. Yeah. And then there was some, I'll send these pictures to you in the DMs, but in every single room, it popped up I put some on the vents, the HVAC vents, and there was mold in all of the vents. And I'm like, I almost collapsed to the ground and was like, Lord, this is exactly what's going on. This is exactly why my baby's not pooping. As soon as we moved there into that house, when she turned 4 weeks old, is when her constipation started. Yeah. I have chills right now. I'm like, this is the answer. This is what it is. And so immediately in my head, I'm like, I have to detox her body. I have to get this out of her. The mycotoxins, I have to get it out. And obviously it's in my body too. It's in Brad's body too. I mean, he wasn't exposed as much because he was gone for 3 weeks at a time, but still he was there. So Um, yeah, so we went to the Fusion MD, and her skin kept getting worse. She was not sleeping due to the itching. She was still bleeding. And at this point, I had to sell my stash of breast milk, which devastated me because I would be up for hours through the night pumping and trying to build up a stash for her. And I had to give it away because I'm getting emotional again, but I have to, or not sell it. I didn't sell it. I didn't get money for it, but I gave it away to somebody I know because I was eating the foods that she was sensitive to. We did an all cat test and found out she was sensitive to, or she was allergic to egg whites, sensitive to peanuts, wheat, dairy, like all the things that I was eating. And so I couldn't give her my milk anymore. And it makes so much sense as to why she was projectile vomiting whenever she would drink it. So I had to give my stash away. Still to this day, like it hurts so bad, but I know that a different baby was benefiting from it. So I'm trying to stay positive about it. And then shortly after that, I rushed her to the ER because her skin was like the worst I've ever seen. It was bloody. It was weeping. It was crusty. She, like, nothing I did would help. And I was just so desperate. So I took her to the ER and they told me, they're like, there's nothing we can do. There's nothing we could do. Like, nothing. Didn't even give her offer any topicals. She was dehydrated, losing weight still, like tiny. And they didn't give her fluids or anything, even though she was severely dehydrated. Like, it was bad. I was just crying in front of the front desk women. Like, I was just in tears. I was like, I need help. Please just help her. And they were like, I'm sorry. Like, there's nothing that we can do. And so they sent me away again. Yes. So that was around like the middle of February. And then come March 2nd is whenever I started using ōNLē. And I'm not kidding, 10 days after I started, her skin was so much better. She's a different baby at this point. She is a different baby. Only 10 days. And I'm like, wow, like, is this my answer this whole time? And
I just have to pause you because this point in the story always, like, my breath catches and my body is covered in chills because I mean, I'm sharing this and because I saw it in my own son, and now I've been so blessed to experience this healing in literally thousands of families. But every single time it's like, oh my gosh, it worked again. Like,
yep.
And so can I ask you really quickly, how did you find ōNLē?
I don't know if it was an ad. I don't know if you have ads on Instagram. No. Maybe it was just on the Explore page, but you popped up on my Instagram. And okay. I don't remember exactly what post it was, but it was something about eczema because obviously, Instagram, like the algorithm, like makes things pop up what you're searching and what you're looking at. And so I found you that way. And so I went to your page and immediately was like, oh my gosh, like she's, into the natural side of things. Her son, like she almost basically was losing her son. And I read your story and read everything about you. And I was like, dude, like, what else do I have to lose? Like, even if this doesn't work, what do I have to lose? Like, I'll just try it. And so I waited probably like a week or so. And I was like, it just kept popping up in my head. I was like, try it, just try it. And I eventually just gave in. I was like, I got to do it. And so
so many moms are like that. And I mean, I even remember when I finally discovered more information about his gut and the naturopath that taught us this healing method. In my mind, I was just like, how can it be that simple? Like, how have we gone through hell so many times?
Yeah.
Nobody has had answers. How can it just be this simple? And so I think where you are, like, even that it took you, a week or two to first see ōNLē and then to say, well, what do I have to lose? I'm going to try it. I think is a really common experience that people have, because it's kind of just like, well, there's no negative side effects, but it's kind of an investment. How could it just be that simple? Like, I don't know if it's even worth my time to try that.
Mm-hmm.
But I am forever grateful for Instagram and the algorithm, because it really does help us connect to what we need and what will serve us. A lot of times, it can do the
Yes.
opposite too. But
Yes.
um,
Definitely. I'm forever grateful. But yeah, I mean, I was a little nervous whenever I saw it's the main ingredient is the alkaline structured silver. And so, of course, I'm going to do some more research and more digging. And I did. And, like you said in one of your podcasts recently, like, um, everybody has negative things to say about silver. They're like, oh, it's going to turn you blue. It's going to turn your skin blue, like the blue man or whatever. I don't remember his name, but he made silver in his house
yeah,
and took it and he turned blue. And so I'm like, of course, I'm like, can't do that. And then all the articles that, like the good articles talking about silver, they get removed because they don't want us to know about that. They don't want us to know that that's a form of healing because big pharma wants us, stuck in the cycle. But there was something in me that was just like, just do it. Just do it. Like, I think that it was the Lord, and he was like, this is what she needs. This is what's going to heal her. And so I talked to Brad and was just like, I think this is it. And so I did, and I'm forever grateful. I started taking it too, and I I think my symptoms started to get better maybe like a week or two after I started taking it, which my symptoms obviously don't show through my skin, but I was bloated all the time. I If I even ate a banana, like I would double in size. It is after everything I eat, and I've been like this for years, like a long time, even whenever I was a teenager, whenever I was a kid, because I grew up eating processed foods. I didn't know any better. You know, they say that, I mean, if the food's on the shelves then it's safe to eat, but now that I know, like, that's not true. And so I was eating processed foods all the time. I was probably exposed to mold whenever I was a kid. Um, but I was bloated all the time, no matter what I ate. And so I knew that there was something not right. And I started taking it, and it's helped so much. My bloating is down significantly. I feel like I can eat a lot of the foods that I wasn't able to before. Um, my skin is a lot better. I feel a lot better. I have more energy. I feel like I'm not super tired all the time. It's been an insane difference. And I will say I did have the die off symptoms at first, for sure, like bad headache. The headache was bad. And but I know that's so normal because I mean, it's getting the toxins out, and the headache, I was super tired and fatigued, but then that quickly went away. So,
well, and I appreciate you sharing this part of your story, because this is exactly what happened with me and my son. And just as there's this massive gap in education around
mhm,
our gut health and our internal health causing external symptoms, right? The same is true in maternal care. And none of us are taught that our gut health is really, really important when we're pregnant. And so knowing that you had an imbalance your whole life
yes.
makes very much a lot of sense, that it made Kelson very vulnerable
Mhm,
to something like the mold exposure. And we are all vulnerable to that, right? But a lot of us will have more significant reactions and will experience it more significantly if our microbiome is already compromised. And so
mhm,
without you knowing this, you unknowingly pass this imbalance onto her during pregnancy and birth. And
yes.
I feel like that can come as like such a hard shock for moms. Like,
Mhm.
it's this moment of like, oh no, like it really is my fault.
Yes,
And
that's what I
it is,
thought.
yeah. And I just want to say it here. It is not your fault. It was not my fault. It is not any mama's fault. This is, again, a systematic, a cultural issue. And
Mhm.
one that is one of my biggest missions with ōNLē is to educate on the importance of our microbiome during pregnancy so that we can set our children up to not experience this.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay, I remember you sending me a message about your tattoos I think it was during your
Yes.
diet.
Yes, and it's still doing it, like, right here. You can't really see it, obviously, but yesterday I was getting my hair done, and I was like, "Why am I itchy?" And I look, and I'm bleeding. But I know that it's so normal because the heavy metals in the ink are literally coming out of my body. And now I regret my tattoos. Like, I'm like, I wish I never got these. Like, if this is happening, what is it doing to like me internally? But I wish I could get rid of them now. But you know what? They're gonna be there forever.
We just don't know. We don't know until we do, right? And
Yes.
how beautiful that you now have tools that are helping push anything out of your body that shouldn't be there.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's okay.
Yes. It was crazy. I was so itchy. And it was like this part on this one, it was raised. Like the lines were raised. And then right here, the lines were raised. And I mean, they probably didn't use very high quality ink after I talked to you about that. But it's crazy, like how it was literally pushing it out of me. Like,
Wow.
yeah, but it's much better. It's much better now that I've been on the cleanse for I think 74 days now. It's
Wow.
much better. But yeah, it's still happening a little bit, but I look at it and it makes me happy. Like at first I was like scared. I was like, what's happening? But now I look at it and I'm like, it's working. I'm healing. So,
Yes, so beautiful. And this is a part of having the tool that I really love is that, gaining all of this awareness about our gut health and the importance of what we're putting in our bodies and making sure that our drainage pathways are open and that we can
mhm.
detox naturally daily, right? With
Yes.
and that our liver and kidneys and lymphatic system are functioning optimally is I feel like so empowering because it takes the pressure away of having to expect ourselves to be perfect.
Yes.
So, I'll share an example of this. I do have the awareness of
Mhm.
tattoos and the heavy metals in the inks. And so it empowers me to ask more questions. I did want tattoos. I got tattoos on my arms.
Those are
And
cute.
I did this knowing all of this information, but I felt empowered to make this choice because
Mhm.
one, I know that my body is balanced and really strong and really resilient. And two, I actually messaged the artist and asked what ink she uses. And
Dude,
she
yeah.
so graciously was like, I'm so glad that you asked. I've actually wanted to reach out to you. I met her through Instagram. So, and
Mhm.
she's rebalanced and we've corresponded a lot. And she's like, I wanted to ask you if this is because I've tried to source the absolute best quality ink. Is this one okay? And it's like the best of the best ink. And so having this awareness really empowers you to make choices with a lot of intention. And it's easy to see this microbiome lifestyle as very restrictive, but I find it to be very empowering.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Like with the food restrictions and stuff, I will say it was very hard at first. But now I'm to the point where I'm living the lifestyle of, cutting out the dairy, the gluten, the alcohol, the sugar, the ketchup, which is so random. But I mean, you explained the process of how they make ketchup and it makes so much sense. But like cutting those out, I feel so good. I feel so much better. And I will say that I did slip up at first. Like I was like, this is too hard. I need my dairy, or this is too hard. I need some sourdough bread. But um, I know that you'll still heal if you eat those foods, but it definitely slows it down. I noticed that like it slows down the process of healing. And so, yeah, I cut those out and I am healing so much better.
Oh, I'm
So,
so happy to hear that. And I love what you said right there is it just feels so good to have them out because they're not feeding the overgrowths in our bodies,
yes.
right? And creating inflammation. And so a lot of people go into this feeling very intimidated about the food side.
Hmm.
And you don't have to do it perfectly. You do
Yeah,
it
no.
where you are. Just know, like, just keep your mind open that it gets easier and it gets really
Hmm.
fun.
Yeah.
And there's,
Yes.
I've tried to create as many resources I can to make this as easy as possible for families. I've got my cookbook and the course, but it's a commitment and it's hard. But once you can let yourself ease into it, and once you get there, it just feels so good. So
Mm-hmm.
for my family, we just feel so good that we've continued to live this lifestyle indefinitely.
Mm-hmm.
And we feel so empowered by this choice. And I wouldn't, for our family, I wouldn't call it a restriction. I would call it a very intentional choice that we make because
Yes.
we feel so good. We sleep so good. Our homeschool goes so good. We're able to do the activities, go snowboarding, and then go straight to the climbing gym because we
Yes.
just feel so good. And
Yes.
so it's not that my perspective, and one that I really like to share, is it's not just the food that we're choosing. It's the look at it from a bigger lens of what is the life that I'm actually choosing? How do I want to show up tomorrow? Do I want to show up as my best self? Okay, then
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to make that choice to show up as my best self. And that's what this means is I'm going to choose to have tamari instead of soy sauce.
Yeah. Yep.
um,
Exactly.
okay,
It is
so
definitely a lifestyle.
let's keep going with your story.
Okay. So yeah, on March 2nd, that's we'll say March 2nd of 2025, that's when we started. And so the die off symptoms for me were headache, fatigue, brain fog got a little bit worse. And then my face was breaking out a little bit, but now that those die off symptoms are gone, like I feel so good. My brain fog is gone. And before, like, I felt like I could not think. Like, I sometimes would say, I feel dumb. Like, I feel like I don't know what's happened over the years. I feel like I can't think, but the brain fog's gone. I feel like I can think clearly and I can function like at my best self. um, and then for Kelson, her die off symptoms, it made the skin flare up again. You know, after the 10 days, her skin did get better, but then it started to flare up again, which I knew was completely normal. But in that, I was like, you know, it's working. Like this shows that it is working. And I know that those were the die off symptoms. So we just kept going.
Well, I
She
am
was
so proud of you that you did the work and you worked through the course so that you were prepared and
mm-hmm,
you knew that this was possibly coming, because a lot of people don't make time for the course. A lot of
mm-hmm,
people, and I know, and I say this with so much understanding and compassion, when you are in the thick of this, it is all consuming. And to try to find more time to work through a course can feel really daunting. And our minds can say, I don't have time for that. I'm just going to go for it.
mm-hmm.
Take time to go through the course so that you can be like Sheridan, and you know that symptoms might look a little bit better and then they might look a little bit worse, and it's a part of the process. Because the most devastating messages that I get are ones saying, I don't know what's going on, it looked a little bit better and it got worse, so I quit. I think
Yeah.
that we're having a bad reaction. That's the worst thing you can do, because
Yes,
that gives the overgrowth time to like come back with vengeance.
they
And
do.
I am so proud of you for making time to work through the course and get to this point, her 10 days in, 12 days in, where her symptoms are flaring a little bit, that you had the perspective of, okay, it's working.
Yes, yes. She was definitely flaring again, but it was much more manageable than before. Her skin wasn't weeping anymore. She wasn't bleeding. She was definitely still itchy, and she's still like she's 10 months old now and we're on day I think 74 now, but she's still a little itchy and her skin is a little bit flaky, but that's a sign of healing. I'm in a lot of like eczema groups on Facebook and stuff, and they say that the itching and the flaking is the last thing to go. And so I'm like, she's almost healed. She's almost
There.
healed.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm gonna keep doing the maintenance, even after the skin problems do resolve. But yeah, it's much more manageable, and I'm not sitting here like wondering what else I can do to make it better. Like I use your the body biome kit. I think it's um the healing gel and then the glow oil, and I use that like the gel first and then the oil on top of that to lock it in. It's a game changer. I it's like magic. I'm not even kidding.
It's like magic.
It
I
really
kind
is.
My kids keep telling me to change the name of Relieve to be called Magic Stuff.
That's essentially what it is. I mean, I love using that on her, and then I put the healing gel on my breakouts because I am breaking out right now. I know you can't really see it in the camera, but the healing gel, I swear it zaps them gone. The next day I wake up and I'm like, my face is clear.
No. And as we're moving into summer, you'll have to experiment like with mosquito bites. It's the same. Like you will literally watch them go away.
Yeah. It's absolutely insane. But anyways, back to her journey. So at this point, she's 8 months old. Her poop got a lot better. She started to poop more regularly. She was still a little bit constipated, but it was way better than before. I would still have to like kind of help her sometimes, like get it out. It was still a little bit solid. And for me, my bloating was a lot better. I feel like I could fit into my clothes more, and I wasn't scared to eat a banana anymore. And I wasn't doubling in size. And yeah. And then, so fast forward to April 12th, which she's 9 months old at this point. We moved out of the house that had mold in it. And we have been living in this house for, what is today? About 3 weeks now. She's a different baby. She is a completely different baby. So moving out of that house mixed with, using ōNLē, she is not the same baby. She's trying to walk. She is crawling so fast all over the place. She makes eye contact with me. She, is trying to talk. She says, Mama, Dada. She says, wow, now, like all these words. And it's like, I don't even recognize this girl. She's so happy. And she's just, I just look at her and cry because I feel like that's my girl. Like that's her. I've been waiting for this for so long. And it's like, I lost her in the process, but now she's here and she's so much fun. Like she's literally the best thing that ever happened to me. Like I just love her so much, but she's finally back. So continuing to May 24th, so basically the present. She's pooping perfectly now. She poops sometimes multiple times a day, and it's soft and it's normal. And her skin is clear for the most part. She does have little flare-ups because like the food that she's sensitive to, I have to give her every 4 days. It's like a rotation so her body can build up the I guess like the tolerance to them. Her functional medicine doctor told us to do that. And so every 4 days her skin flares up a little bit, but it's like, it's so minor that it just looks like she has, some red cheeks or something. It's crazy. And then, yeah, so she's trying to walk and talk and everything. And she's finally gaining weight. She is 10 months old and she weighs 15 pounds. If that tells you how small she is. She is a tiny girl, but she's finally gaining weight. We put her on the scale and I about cried because, 15 pounds was like my goal. I was like, I got to get her to 15 pounds. I've just been like shoveling food down her throat, feeding her as much as I can. And yeah, she's so much healthier than she was before. And I'm just so, so thankful. Like, I'm much happier. I am in a much better mental space. I feel like I'm present with her and not just obsessing over her skin and looking at her and be like, oh my gosh, her skin, it's bad. And like, it just feels so good to be present again. I feel like I'm finally finding myself in motherhood instead of just being lost. I am taking her to places. I'm getting out of the house more. I'm meeting up with my friends. I'm, taking her out in public and not wondering if somebody's going to be like, what's wrong with her skin? Or she's so tiny. But I have no words.
So I want to just take a second here and really explain, because mold toxicity is unfortunately really common. And so a lot of time, so what the rebalance started doing for her is it was killing the mycotoxins inside her body. And when we have mold exposure, and it makes a lot of sense in her story when she took antibiotics, it kind of came back with vengeance, is because the antibiotics were killing bad overgrowths in her body too, which is why her skin cleared. But as we know, it kills the good and the bad. And so, of course, it came right back because she was continuously being exposed, but also because now her body is left in an even more vulnerable state. So the way that the Rebalance Kit works is it's killing all the bad in the body, including the mycotoxins, but also when we have exposure to mycotoxins, it weakens our entire microbiome ecosystem, which allows room for yeast and bad bacteria and so many different pathogens to move in. And so when you are still living in your last house with mold, her body started healing because internally all of that was being killed while her good microbiome is being restored. But moving and leaving that environment, of course, what happens is she's not having this constant exposure. And so her body is finally in this state of alignment where there's the internal healing still happening without that exposure. And so I really just kind of want to explain that process, because one of the only times, well, there's two times that rebalancing doesn't work. One is, like I shared earlier, you might not prioritize the course and learn all the information and you stop too early, because even in the course, I teach you how to know when the gut is fully in balance and when you should be done rebalancing. And take the time, please, everybody listening, take the time to do that. I poured my heart and soul into creating this course so that you have all the information to succeed. And one of the two times that it doesn't work is people just don't take the time to learn and they quit too early. They give up too early. And the second is when there is a chronic exposure to mold. And so those are the only two conversations that are happening when it's not working, is there is an exposure. And so really quickly, I want to touch on her food sensitivities and what you're going to witness from here moving forward. So she most likely doesn't actually have allergies or food sensitivities. It's that her body has been in this chronic state of inflammation. So her gut-brain connection is blurry. And as her gut heals, her gut-brain connection clears and her body stops reacting to things that it shouldn't be reacting to. And this is a natural part of the healing process. And I love that you're working with a functional medicine practitioner and you have guidance in working through this. And everybody has their own recommendations. And we actually went through this too, because my son he tested severely allergic to 9 different things. And we did not do the slow introduction of them. We just cut them out completely. And then once his gut was in balance, our naturopath was like, go back to the allergists. I guarantee you they're gone. And they were gone.
Maybe I'll do that then. Maybe I'll just cut them out, because I don't like giving them to her because it makes her flare up and she's uncomfortable. Maybe I'll do that too.
Really check in with your intuition, what feels right to you, because ultimately it's not about my experience or what I say or what the functional practitioner says. It's really what feels in alignment, what feels right to you. But in my experience, there is a lot of misinformation about food sensitivities. And, a lot of people come to ōNLē and they're like, how are we going to cut these foods out? Eggs, dairy, they're going to develop sensitivities because they're not having that exposure. And it's really a myth. And what I have learned in my experience and now supporting so many families is actually when we continue to consume the foods that are triggering to our bodies right now, there's a reason that that's happening. And we actually just need to give our bodies time to heal. And it's not a race and it can take time and it's okay. So I'll share another example. My son was not allergic to nightshades, but after we did 5 rounds of rebalancing his body, he was completely healed. But I would notice, over like the next year, I would notice just funny things. Like occasionally his poop would smell really sour, or he would like just little subtle things that, without going through this journey, I would have never cued in on, but I was hyper aware of everything and like looking at every single poop. And And so intuitively, I was just like, I feel like there's a connection here between that and nightshades. I'm just going to cut them out. And he experienced another level of healing. And so we cut them out actually for 2 years. And then we reintroduced nightshades. And I mean, he has salsa. He loves salsa. He loves spice. He loves all the peppers. He consumes them every single day.
I
And
love
he's
that.
fine. And so I just shared that part, not to try to change how you were doing it, but just to kind of share this awareness that
Yeah.
sometimes that exposure is actually creating inflammation in the body. And it's okay to just give it time and
Yeah.
trust that her body is strong and resilient. And as her gut heals more and more, that inflammation is going to go away and she'll get to a point where she tolerates all of these foods.
Yes. And it's all the foods that she loves. Like she loves bananas, but that's one of the things that she's sensitive to. And so I haven't been giving it to her except for, through the cycle of introducing it every 4 days. But I kind of felt like I should just cut them out. And so now that you say that, I think that I'm probably just going to cut them out until she's healed and maybe do another all cat test and see if it pops up again. Because I mean, the mold does that. Mold does that.
Please send me the
Okay, I
results of
will.
people because it is so fascinating to see the before and the after and how it compares. Because I mean, I could not believe going to that when my naturopath was like, go get retested. I was like, yeah, gone. The allergist,
Really?
even I've never seen this before.
That's crazy. That is so crazy. I hope that like it does that for her and also me because that's
Yes,
crazy. Makes
days.
sense.
You still have 60 days in your current rebalance around that, right?
Hmm.
And so there's a tremendous amount more healing that's going to happen.
Yes, I'm so excited. And I think even after like, like how you said, you're healed whenever it starts to taste like water. I will say like the first day that I took it, it was so strong. It was so strong. I was like, "Oh, I know my gut is not right. I know that I need this." So now that I'm 74 days in, like I take it and I'm like, it's getting closer to water. Like it's this, the taste is so like small. Like it doesn't taste near as strong. And so that's how I know it's working too. Like the process is just so cool and so fascinating. I'm like, how? Like this stuff is literally magic. And how doesn't everybody not know about it? I just want, like I said in the message, I just want to scream from the rooftops and be like, use ōNLē, it'll heal you. It does. It's
There are
crazy.
so many times where it does feel like magic. And
Yeah.
I am so grateful for you sharing your story and helping spread the awareness and make an impact for other families because what you went through, it's going to make me cry now. And I I feel like I lost 2.5 years of my son's life. Like I was not present. I lost that time and I'll never get that time back.
Yeah.
And now on the other side. I'm really grateful to be where we are and that we have this knowledge and that we get to share this healing. But my heart aches that
Yeah.
I've lost time because it wasn't just my son. I have a daughter that's 3 years older than him, and I have a complete gap where I don't even remember being her mom because I was so obsessed with
Yeah.
trying to save my son's life and fighting on my own.
Yeah.
and
Really.
um and that hurts so deep, especially because darn it, he's 11 now and time goes by so fast.
That's
And
crazy.
I lost 2.5 years of it. Darn it. But
I'm so
um
glad that you said that because I would say that all the time and I like try to explain it to my friends that also have babies around her age and they just don't understand. It's not their fault because they obviously didn't go through what we did, but like I try to explain that and be like I feel like I've lost out on the first 9 months of her life. Like I am so like you said like it just hurt because of all I've ever wanted is to be a mom and anybody that knows me knows that about me. And so as soon as I get to experience that, it's like it was taken away from me. But I'm just so thankful that I figured it out early rather than, not to compare it to your situation. And I am so sorry you went through it for so long, but I'm so thankful I found it now. I found you and your product now rather than whenever she's 2 or 3. Like, like, I can't tell you how thankful I am for you because
Well, I'm so thankful too, because that's the whole other part that gets me emotional is I think about, oh my gosh, like what would have happened? What would have happened to
yeah,
my son? What would have happened to your daughter if we didn't find this healing? If
yeah,
this continued to grow and grow and grow in the body, because it doesn't just go away.
mm-mm,
The advice of just wait it out. No, if there is a symptom, that's the body saying, please help me.
yeah,
Don't wait it out, because the longer you wait, the longer it takes to heal and the worse symptoms will get. And that brings me to, I feel, the most positive and powerful energy of gratitude, that even though I did lose 2.5 years, gosh, I didn't lose his whole life.
mm-hmm,
I get to have my best, healthiest, thriving son and myself and my whole family
mm-hmm.
forever now. And what a small period of time in comparison.
Yes,
And I'm I'm right here in it with you.
yes, yes, and I'm so happy that you're the one that we run to for healing whenever nobody else would listen. So, but I would like to end this with advice for parents, other parents that are maybe going through the same thing, like just starting the journey of, eczema or other symptoms. Like, I just want to let them know that you need to advocate for your child no matter what. Do not stop. If you feel like something is wrong in your gut, that there is something not right with your child and nobody will listen, like, do not stop and do not give up, because you are their voice. They can't, if they're obviously, if they're a little older, it's different, but you are their voice. And I mean, if I stopped advocating for her and if I gave up, who knows? Like you said, where would she be? Like, what else would be wrong? Like, I'd still be miserable with her, just begging God for an answer. But do not stop giving up. Like, do not stop advocating for your baby. And then also, another thing is, like I mentioned before, the symptoms do get worse before they get better. So do not give up on the process. If you end up doing the gut cleanse, do not stop. Just keep going. The symptoms get worse before they get better. And that's a sign that it's working. And the last thing is, there is a way to get rid of you or your child's problems that you've noticed. There is a way. And I think that the biggest thing, since your gut is your second brain, start with the gut and see if that helps. There is a way to get rid of it, though. But
I appreciate that so much.
you're welcome.
Thank you so much for all of your time and for so vulnerably sharing your story and for healing. And those pictures that you sent me, is it okay if I like put it on the page
Yeah,
with this so that people like really have a visual of the before and after?
absolutely. And I can send you, since that second her after picture isn't the best picture, I can send you another one of
Okay.
like a more clear picture of her face for comparison, because in that picture she's eating and has avocado on her face. So I'll send you a better one for comparison. But yes, I would love for you to share them, and you don't have to block out her eyes or anything. I just want everybody to know her story and know who she is, and just
Cute.
for everybody to know that there is a way to heal. So
Okay. And then the very last thing that I want to say is you just joined the Rebalancing Collective community, and we're so grateful to have you there. And you are much further along in your journey than a lot of the mamas coming in there. And I just appreciate you being in that space and holding space for families that are going through this, because
mhm,
your story is what gives other people hope. So thank you
yes,
for taking all this time to share your story and show up in that space.
absolutely. And I look up to you so much as a mother, as a woman, and I just want to say thank you again so much for everything.
Thank you. It is really surreal and such an honor to be here. And as I said at the beginning, like before we started recording, you're like, I'm going to try not to cry. And I was like, no, cry. This is not a professional podcast. We
Yeah,
are humans
I'm
and
crying
moms.
again.
And this is what when I started ōNLē, I held myself back for a long time thinking, okay, I have to have this like presence of being this perfect. No, that's actually what ōNLē has morphed into, is this beautiful letting go of that ridiculous
Yeah.
internal pressure we create. And it's just being real. And
Being
so,
authentic. Yes, I'm all about
yes.
that. Like,
And
literally both of us have no makeup on, our hair's a mess, like, but you still look so beautiful. But showing it authentically is just, that's where it's at. So
which is what exactly the community is. And I'm so happy that you're there and here. So thank you, Sheridan.
yes, thank you.
If this episode resonated with you, share it with a friend or a family member who's ready to lead her family's healing. Everything mentioned in this episode is linked down below for you in the show notes. Be sure to subscribe to the Nourish newsletter, also linked down below, so you never miss an episode. I will email you the latest episode every Tuesday morning. Everything shared on this show is for educational purposes only, not intended as medical advice. Until next time, trust your body and follow your gut.